Hey everyone, welcome back to Life After Neverland. Today we are continuing with our discussion about the chosen and utilizing our devotional to give us some hope and inspiration in these tough times. But guess what? It's Easter! And my hair is all over my face. I needed to be outside today, you guys, so forgive the wind, forgive dogs barking. You would get some dogs barking in my house anyways, and some cats knocking some things over, so no matter where I go, it is mass chaos, okay? But I wanted to extend like the biggest, most awesome thank you to Dallas Jenkins. He recognized my vlog, which was completely not something I had ever dreamt of in my wildest dreams. And the sweetest little comments, and the fact that, Dallas, you took the time to look at my vlog means the world to me. Global Army, also you as well. You guys have been making beautiful comments, sweet, kind, loving comments, and they mean everything to me. I feel very passionate about the chosen, and as we get to know each other, I think we all have our own little journey, and it's very moving for me to be able to find people who love Jesus like I do. So Dallas, if you're watching, I want you to know that I've never given up on Jesus. Not one time. Never give up on Jesus. But I am really fearful sometimes of some of the things people say. I don't like it. I don't like the things that they've said to me, and I don't feel like they're right in my soul. And when I found the chosen, I just felt like this is it. Like, this is what I've been looking for. So for you to find me is a gift in itself, and I feel like it's God working His magic. I get emotional. I hate it when I get like this, but like, this has touched my heart in a million ways. I've had a lot of people say things to me that have just broken my heart, and I've just felt like, that's not right. That's not okay, and I don't feel like God would say that to me, and I don't feel like God would do that to me. Sorry, my hair is getting all over my face. And so it's time to start anew. You know what I mean? It's time to get used to different. And I agree with that 1000%. And if you're with me, let's all get used to different, because I'm all about that. So let's move on. Let's get to the point. And this is what the point is. In our day 3 devotional, even though we're not on day 3, we're actually on week 3. I want to continue on with our Mary Magdalene discussion, because today is the day that Jesus has risen, that we are celebrating. Mary Magdalene was there. So let's continue with that, okay? So here's what they say. Let's talk about it. To save our lives, we must lose them. That's a mind bender for sure, but clearly vital to understand. Jesus said it to the disciples after they'd already dropped everything to follow him from town to town. They sacrificed their careers, homes, and relationships for the man they believed was the Messiah. Life as they knew it had turned upside down, but more would be required of them, and Jesus was doubling down. He knew what lay ahead. He knew he was leaving, and he knew they would become pillars of early church in charge of spreading the truth about salvation to the world, discipling the masses, and claiming Christ in the face of imprisonment, torture, and death. They would lose their lives on earth, figuratively and literally, for the sake of all they would gain in heaven. And they did it well, because their testimonies, their personal stories of what Jesus had said and done, were potent demonstrations of his transformative love and power in their lives. They shared the gospel with an unstoppable, contagious, relentless passion that, to be honest, seems kind of rare these days. How come? Well, for starters, they weren't in love with themselves or their own stories. They weren't branding their Christian narratives for maximum personal benefit, approval, or sympathy, or for clicks or likes. They weren't assigning themselves to the hero role or belaboring their before Christ dysfunction with all its juicy, sensationalistic tidbits. When you look at biblical examples, it's amazing how few words are given to their broken past. The almost exclusive focus is on Jesus. Take Mary Magdalene. The fact that she was delivered from 7 demons is a crucial aspect for her testimony because it showcases Jesus' authority and why she responded to him the way she did. In other words, her autobiography wouldn't have been titled The Dark Years, with 300 pages dedicated to describing the monsters within. Fascinating? Sure. But powerful and effective and glorifying to the one who rescued her. Not so much. There's a reason we meet Mary subsequent to her healing, because that's where the real story is. There are a few things we know about her. She followed Jesus and financially supported his ministry until his crucifixion, which means she gave everything she had to follow him. She endured the crucifixion and stayed close to Jesus while he suffered and died. And as mentioned in Delivered, which we talked about last week, she was the first person he appeared to after he rose from the dead, and she was the one he sent to tell the disciples the universe-altering news. All because the old was gone and dead. Jesus had given her new life, which means that even if you've been a believer for all of 10 minutes, those minutes are entirely more relevant than the 20, 40, or 80 years of darkness prior to your conversion. Reason being, we're called to represent Jesus and to die to the lives he saved us from. When we do that, and when he stays the hero of the story, our words and lives become real-time, potent demonstrations of his transformative love and power. So some of the questions that they say moving forward in this devotional are pretty profound. One is, do you find it difficult to share your testimony? Why or why not? And I want to talk about that for a minute. I have my own testimony, and sometimes I find it difficult to talk about it because being vulnerable is complicated, and that equals judgment most of the time. And so that's another reason why it means so much to me that many of you were speaking to me, many of the Gospel Army were making comments on my very first video. I was extremely vulnerable. I had like no makeup on. I just kind of felt like, you know what, maybe it's good to do that because people can understand that I'm being real, and people need to find people that are real in this world and not put on airs, if that makes any sense. And that your story can truly help others. Think of other people's stories that you have heard and how it's transformed your life. In fact, how about the people on The Chosen? How about Mary Magdalene? How about Simon? How about Matthew? Even Nicodemus, who would have known that these disciples, I never knew. People turned me away from church. They really did. And to know these disciples in the way that Dallas is expressing them and showing them to me is actually transforming my life and doing so many things for me that I never imagined possible. And that is why The Chosen is so beautiful. I feel that's the reason why God wants this Chosen to be out there into the world. It says, be real. Who or what do your words most represent? And, okay, so if we're talking about testimony, it's hard because I never want to, make anyone else feel less than, even though they've made me feel less than. But, oh my gosh, this is exactly what they're talking about here in this devotional is, why is it hard to talk about your testimony? Well, because if I talk about it, I'm going to make other people, I don't know what other word to say, condemn, feel condemned, even though they have said things that have literally pushed me away from church. That's horrible. Listen, the only explanation or example I can use is my bunny rabbit. She doesn't want to harm anyone at all, ever. She'll only set her boundaries when she absolutely has to, and that is exactly how I am. And when I do set my boundaries for people that are taking advantage of me, they literally flip a switch, go completely crazy, and do everything they can to hurt me. And I've had people from the church community do that, and we'll just put it that way. That person tried to make me not want to be connected to God. Who does that? And another perfect example is the fact that Dallas Jenkins was able to notice my vlog. His mission is so valuable and important to him to get the message out about Jesus. Jesus is working through Dallas, like in a very big way. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful, and we should all help him. How cool to be so moved. Alright, so moving forward, you guys, what can you say that focuses more on the after Christ portion of your testimony than the before Christ portion? The after Christ portion is way more important than anything you could ever imagine, because that is the lesson. That is the lesson, right? And think of all of the people that you met in The Chosen so far. If you've watched the entire season, if you haven't, start watching. What have they learned? Especially Mary Magdalene. Oh my gosh, Matthew. What has Matthew learned? You guys, we have so much wind. I'm so sorry. I really need to be outside today. I need nature so bad. So please forgive me. If you've watched the entire season of The Chosen, I think the most exciting part is Matthew and Nicodemus. And I don't want to ruin things for you, but when you watch the two of them, that kind of answers my question. What happens after? What happens after you're touched by Jesus? And where do you go from there? Have a blessed Easter, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week, okay? Bye.